put on 9 inches in a year. Now he faces life on even terms. The full story after 6.
Television, and now it's time to go.
Putting on 9 inches in a year.
A season. Peter Wright, who's 6 and comes from North Tuddenham, was born with a rare growth stunting condition. But doctors at Great Ormond Street have been treating him with a new synthetic hormone, enabling him to grow an amazing 9 inches in the last year.
Last year, pint-sized Peter was dwarfed by his classmates. He stood just 3 feet high, but now, thanks to a new drug which duplicates the normal growth hormones, Peter is catching up fast. It costs £15 a daily dose, and without the National Health Service, it would cost his parents £50,000 to continue the treatment over the next 10 years.
It's made a huge difference. Apart from a physical difference, it's made him far more confident. He's outgoing, just a far more confident, happy child. 3 years ago he was very introvert, very withdrawn, scared of his own shadow really. But he really is much happier with life now.
What do you know about the drug? Of course it is synthetic, isn't it? Does it concern you having to give it to him every day?
Any drug which is fairly new, of course, makes you concerned, and we talked about it a great deal before we decided, but in the end we felt, with Great Ormond Street's advice, we had to give Peter a chance of growing.
12 months ago, Peter was 9 inches shorter than his 9-year-old brother Simon, but today a mere 2 inches separates them. Mum still has the job of giving him an injection every night, but his extra inches are already helping him enjoy for the first time a normal, boisterous life.
Peter Wright is 7 years old, and like any other boy of his age, he enjoys the rough and tumble of the playground, competing with his friends. But Peter's greatest sense of achievement comes not from winning the running race, but from growing into his elder brother's clothes. Peter suffers from growth hormone insufficiency, a rare condition which means his growth slowed to a virtual stop 2 years ago. Seen here with his brother at the age of 5, he was the size of an average 2.5-year-old. Since then, he's grown an amazing 9 inches, 5.5 of those in the last year. Now he is almost caught up with his classmates thanks to the revolutionary synthetic growth hormone. Not only has he grown, but his whole quality of life has changed.
It's made an enormous difference. The fact that he now eats well, I mean, that's a physical difference, but psychologically he's a much more confident, outgoing, far happier child now.
His teacher has watched his development too.
Well, he seems like a completely different boy. He's outgoing where he was introspective before. He's full of fun and mischief. He plays with the other children. He's never still.
And what about his schoolwork?
It's made a difference to his schoolwork as well.
Until 2 years ago, the hormone had to be extracted from humans. It was difficult to collect, risky to use, and highly expensive. Now, the cheap, synthetically produced drug has opened up treatment on the NHS for
And it's a shame that such a talented writing, compact, positive, productive code is wasted.
There are always people who must have twisted minds, and if they...
It was, I think we're going to stop. Telephone off. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to come from that. That's sort of so far.
When did you first notice that Peter wasn't growing at the rate he should be?
The first thing we noticed was that Peter didn't have an appetite. This was apparent from when he was a very small baby and I couldn't wean him. The medical people were saying, oh, don't worry, it's a phase. When he's a year old, he came to a year old, he still wasn't eating. 18 months, 2 years old, and he still wasn't eating. And obviously then we noticed that he was also physically tiny.
And so, what was your next step? What did you do?
We went to local GPs, we went to our local hospital in Norwich. But it wasn't really until we were referred to Great Ormond Street 18 months ago, 2 years ago rather, that a growth hormone deficiency was actually traced.
Peter takes a very new drug. Can you tell me about that?
It's the synthetic growth hormone. It's only been available for the last 18 months. It's taken in injection form daily.
Did you have any problem in administering that start off with?
I think like most mums, when they're told they've got to inject their children, I nearly died in a heap. But we've got a marvellous district nurse who very gamely let me shove the first ever syringe into her leg, and that definitely gave me the confidence then to do my own sewing.
How often do you actually have to menstruate?
Every evening. The body uses growth hormone at night time, and so it's very much part now of the evening routine. Kiss, cuddle, brush teeth and injection.
And how long will Peter have to stay on it?
Peter stays on the treatment until he's 13, when puberty takes over and then the body can hopefully manage for itself.
And it's quite expensive, this drug, isn't it?
Oh yes. It actually costs National Health £15 per injection, and actually somebody worked that out to be worth about £50,000 per foot of growth.
How much has Peter actually grown since he's been taking it?
He's actually grown 9 inches now. Before we started the treatment, he was growing an inch a year. He has actually grown 9 inches since we started 18 weeks ago.
And do you have a target height for him? Is there any particular size?
Not really. I mean, it is a fairly new drug, and it's still not, although in its guinea pig stages, it's still waiting to see how the first children manage on it. So Growth Hormone Street don't really like to give us a guide height, but obviously it looks very promising at the moment.
And are there any side effects as well?
Again, hopefully as safe as any drug can be.
But you haven't noticed anything?
Oh no, absolutely nothing. Everything's been beneficial so far.
Presumably it's made a big difference to Peter.
Hormone deficiency was actually traced.
Peter takes a very new drug. Can you tell me about that?
It's the synthetic growth hormone. It's only been available for the last 18 months. It's taken in injection form daily.
Did you have any problem in administering that drug to start off with?
I think like most mums, when they're told they've got to inject their children, I nearly died in a heap. But we've got a marvellous district nurse who very gamely let me shove the first ever syringe into her leg, and that definitely gave me the confidence then to do my own sewing.
How often do you actually have to menstruate?
Every evening. The body uses growth hormone at night time, and so it's very much part now of the evening routine. Kiss, cuddle, brush teeth and injection.
And how long will Peter have to stay on it?
Peter stays on the treatment until he's 13, when puberty takes over and then the body can hopefully manage for itself.
And it's quite expensive, this drug, isn't it?
Oh yes. It actually costs National Health £15 per injection, and actually somebody worked that out to be worth about £50,000 per foot of growth.
How much has Peter actually grown since he's been taking it?
He's actually grown 9 inches now. Before we started the treatment, he was growing an inch a year. He has actually grown 9 inches since we started 18 weeks ago.
And do you have a target height for him? Is there any particular size?
Not really. I mean, it is a fairly new drug, and it's still not, although in its guinea pig stages, it's still waiting to see how the first children manage on it. So Growth Hormone Street don't really like to give us a guide height, but obviously it looks very promising at the moment.
And are there any side effects as well?
Again, hopefully as safe as any drug can be.
But you haven't noticed anything?
Oh no, absolutely nothing. Everything's been beneficial so far.
Presumably it's made a big difference to Peter psychologically.
It's made an enormous difference. The fact that he now eats well, I mean that's a physical difference, but psychologically he's a much more confident, outgoing, far happier child.
And what about his schoolwork? He started school 2 years ago.
That's right.
And has he improved a lot?
Oh yes, even his speech was backward when he first started school. And with regular speech therapy, everything has improved marvellously.
Do you enjoy taking it? Do you feel a lot better? Yes. You do?